I want to start out with our rant from HartmannReport.com. It's titled, "Here's the Craven GOP Plan for Ending Democracy." And, you know, right now, there's been a lot of coverage. Rachel Maddow did this, a great job on this night before last, I guess, yesterday on several programs on MSNBC. I'm not sure it's made it to CNN yet, but Barton Gellman wrote this article in The Atlantic. You know, it came out a week, I guess it came out early this week or late last week, in which he is basically laying out how the Republican Party intends to rig the election for 2024 by having individual states, by having Republicans are running for precinct committee people, not Republicans, Trumpies, are running for precinct committee people in the Republican Party so they can control state parties. They're running for secretaries of state so that they can control elections. They're running for election boards and for and volunteering for, you know, to be election officials in states all across the United States, so that when Trump runs again in 2024, or frankly any Republican, if the Democrat gets more votes, if it looks like the Democrat's going to win, they can simply say, oh no, we're giving the election to the Republicans. And yes, they can do that under the Constitution. In my opinion, in Mark Meadows' opinion, in the opinion of, you know, basically the entire Trump administration, and by the way, in the opinion of Florida Republicans in 2000. Yes, in the year 2000, down in Florida, the entire election, was it going to be Al Gore as president or is it going to be George W. Bush as president? The entire election came down to one state that was controlled by the brother of the guy running for president. George W. Bush was governor of Texas. Jeb Bush was governor of Florida. George had already given Jeb a list of Texas felons that Jeb used to purge people with similar names off the voting rolls in Florida, knocking somewhere between 20 and 80,000 African Americans off the voting rolls. But still, that wasn't enough. There was this 500-vote margin that it sort of looked like George won by, and the state Supreme Court ordered a recount. That was, of course, stopped by the U.S. Federal Supreme Court because Justice Scalia said, and this was truly bizarre. He said the counting of votes, this is from the Bush v. Gore opinion, the counting of votes does, in my view, threaten irreparable harm to petitioner George W. Bush and to the country by casting a cloud upon what Bush claims to be the legitimacy of his election. Right? But anyhow, what happened was, before the Supreme Court intervened and handed the election to George W. Bush in 2000, see, this is nothing new. Republicans basically stealing the White House. Before Jeb Bush, or excuse me, before the U.S. Supreme Court, 5 conservatives on the U.S. Supreme Court, the four Democratic appointees were outraged. But before these 5 conservatives on the Supreme Court handed the 2000 election to George W. Bush, down in Florida, the state Republicans had put together legislation that would simply award Florida's, it wasn't like a law for all times, it was a, this one time, that would award that state's electoral votes to George W. Bush. Just that simple. And according to the Constitution, the state legislature has the power to do that. And this is the trick, this is the tool that the GOP is using, or tried to use, what they planned on using in 2000, what Donald Trump tried to get them to use, and John Eastman and all the people who conspired with him tried to get them to use in 2020, and what they are now openly planning to use in 2024, is that the Constitution says that the way the electoral count, the Electoral College, the way that the states determine how their vote is going to be conducted and how it's going to be counted and what the results are, that's all up to the states. There are no federal standards for this. Now, there are 2 pieces of legislation before Congress. Actually, 3 pieces of legislation, if you include H.R. 1, the original one, which is larger and more expansive and has, therefore a smaller chance of passing. But there are 3 pieces of legislation that all passed the House of Representatives that are all sitting in the Senate right now, bottled up by a filibuster by the Republicans, that would solve this problem. You've got the John Lewis Voting Rights Enhancement Act. You've got the Freedom to Vote Act, which was Joe Manchin's cutting down of the original H.R. 1, which is the For the People Act. You've got these three pieces of legislation sitting in the Senate, sitting on Chuck Schumer's desk, and all he has to do to pass any one of them or even all three of them, although the odds are it would be two out of the three, it would be Manchin's legislation and the John Lewis Act. All Schumer has to do is drill a hole in the filibuster. And I'm getting emails almost every day from right-wing groups like Freedom Works and others going, oh my God, you notify your congressman that you don't want them to drill a hole in the filibuster. It's a power grab by the Democrats. Quack, 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 quack. But the fact is that we have no federal standards for this. The fact is that the last time a Republican got the White House as a result of winning the majority of the popular vote in the United States. In other words, the last time a majority of Americans said, yes, we want a Republican in the White House, the last time that happened was 1988, when George Herbert Walker Bush was elected president. That was it. I mean, I suppose you could argue that when George W. Bush was reelected in 2004, he won an electoral majority, and he did. But had he not been put into the White House by the Supreme Court in 2000, it wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have been the case. So I think that, legitimately you can say, really, the last time this happened was George Herbert Walker Bush and in 1988. And the Republicans want to keep it that way. They want to make sure that Republicans keep getting the White House, even though the majority of Americans voted for the Democrat.